Hello everyone. So basically, I am the person behind this course. So let's see quick introduction about me. So basically, I am a security researcher and I am pursuing computer science the integrated dual degree, BTech and MTech in an ATH. Okay. So basically, I have been acknowledged by a lot of organizations like Google, Ola, United Nations, Mathwell, Silicon, and lot more organizations. Till now, I have conducted workshops and talks regarding bug bounty, and I have these 100 plus students till now online. Okay, and they are all doing good. So you can see my write-ups at Medium, and you can connect me via LinkedIn. So thank you so much. So this is my first course on Udemy. So hoping for the best. So thank you so much. Hello, my friends. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to the new course, which is basically Oauth for bug bounties. So you may have seen this topic a lot in HackerOne or Buckaroo reports. So hackers have been reporting these issues a lot from few past years. Okay, so OAuth is basically a feature which client applications use a lot. So this is the workflow of the course. Okay, so in the starting of course there will be an introductory part like what is zero and the types of oath and how oath works. So we will see in brief like how oath framework works. Then we will move into the attack part. So what are OAuth misconfiguration? So we will see the demonstrations on the portswigger labs, and I will also show the live cases as well. Then one of my finding where I will teach you how to analyze OAuth flow from a developer documentation using Postman. So in this course you will learn some Postman things as well, and at the end of course after covering lot of account takeovers we will see some business logic misconfiguration as well. Okay, so which I have collected from various reports and articles, so this will also help you a lot. So thank you so much and welcome. Hello everyone, so let's get started with our new course OAuth for bug bounties. So before directly getting into the OAuth misconfiguration or attack part, we should learn or we have to learn what OAuth is, OAuth works, and what are the types of OAuth. So let's get started. So let's see the introduction first. So basically, what is OAuth? So as you can see, OAuth or Open Authorization is basically a framework that allows third parties application to access user resources without exposing their credentials. It means using third parties, you can access any client application, okay, without exposing their credentials. So basically, it's commonly used for enabling secure and delegated access to web services, APIs, or other online resources. So basically, you can access the third party, not the third party, the client application resources, okay, without signing up in their platform. Or provides a way for users to grant limited access to their resources, such as profile on social media platform to another application without sharing their login connection. So let understand using some basic workflow. Suppose here is an application. Uh, s- let let us name this as test.com, and other is OAuth provider, OAuth provider. Example Google, okay, or it can be like Facebook as well. Okay, so these both are a very popular OAuth provider. Okay, suppose you have to access this platform, you want to access this platform, but uh, you want to grant some limited access. Okay, so what you can do, you can use these services. Okay, so you can use OAuth services of any provider. Okay, so you can only use the OAuth which they have enabled. Suppose they are using Google as their zero auth provider. Suppose they are using Google. Suppose they are using Google as OAuth provider. So what you can do, you can use Google to access this platform, for some limited amount of time. Okay, and what zero does, it provides a secure way to access test.com. So, and se- secondly, it doesn't share any source of credential you have used to log in Google or Facebook. So basically you are temporarily using Google or Facebook.com to access test.com. So OAuth provides that functionality. So let me give an example how it looks like in real application. Okay, so you may have seen a lot of application using the feature to log in using Google, login using Facebook. Basically, they are using OAuth services. Okay, as you can see here, login with Google or Windows Live. So basically this website is like Shodan.io using the OAuth framework of Google or this one Windows Live. So a user can log in using Google and Windows here in Shodan and can get a limited access to Shodan. Okay, and as I have already explained to you, the rules are already explained or already set up by the resource owner so that the Google or Windows doesn't share any sort of or any set of credentials to Shodan. So this is what we have seen in the introduction of OAuth. So basically the framework that allows third-party application to access any client application without exposing their credentials. Okay, so what are different entities involved in OAuth? So basically there are four entities involved, basically the user, the resource owner, the client, and the authorization server. So let us see. So let us understand the four entities separately. So these are the four entities. The first one is the user, the second one is the resource owner, okay, owner, and the third one is the client, and the fourth one is the authorization server. Okay, so let us understand with the help of example. Suppose I have taken the example of test.com. Okay, suppose here is the user who want to access this test.com. So the user who want to access this test.com will be the first entity, the user itself. Okay, so to access this test.com, the user have to use a resource which is OAuth resource, and it is provided again by some resource owner. Okay, so the resource owner can be a user or machine. Okay, it can be a machine or a user. Okay, suppose this is using a Facebook, this user is using a Facebook as a resource, then the Facebook user will be a resource owner. Okay, hope you understand. And the third one is the client. The client here is test.com itself. The client basically the application which want to use OAuth services are the clients. Then here comes the authorization server. Okay, the server which authorizes this user, basically the server which authorizes this server, sorry, this user to use test.com is known as authorization server. So the server again belongs to Facebook it again. So hope you understand my point. So all right, so let's move to the next part. So now let's see the history of OAuth. So at very first OpenID was discovered, which was basically a authentication protocol. So then OAuth itself was discovered, which was basically a authorization framework. So at very first OAuth 1.0 was introduced. Okay, and after a lot of modification and research, the final OAuth 2.0 was discovered. As 1.0 was like lacking lot of things like secure protocol and one of the feature like expiration time. One of the example like the token can be stored for an year or more on 1.0, but on 2.0 it will expire on the expiration time. So like it was set by parameter and values in O 2.0. And the very final OpenID Connect was discovered, which is running in recent applications. Okay, so this is basically built on top of O 2.0. So it means the O 2.0 was more modified and like more secure now. So it is known as OpenID Connect. So in this course, we will be more focused on the OAuth part itself, like O 2.0 or OpenID Connect. Okay. So, but for this course, I am just giving an introduction to you for an OpenID. So let's see. So what is OpenID basically? So as compared to O 2.0, which is basically or to OAuth itself, which is basically authorization framework, OpenID is another authentication protocol, but it's different from OAuth. While OAuth deals with authorization, as you can we will see in upcoming lectures, like OAuth deals with authorization, granting access to resources. OpenID focuses on authentication, like verifying the identity of user. The idea behind OpenID is to provide a decentralized single sign-on solution. allowing users to use a single set of credentials to access multiple websites without needing to create separate accounts for each. So basically, it provides a ID so that you can directly access the platform. So OpenID itself having a platform, so you can go to the openid.io, I think, or .com, so you can learn more about it. So secondly, in the OpenID framework, a user has an identity provider that authenticates them. Okay, so it means like in OAuth we have authorization server. Here there is a identity provider. So the user can use this authenticated identity to access various relying parties, which are websites or services that accepts the user identity. OpenID uses a unique identifier to associate the user identity across different services. So basically, it is giving a like a separate unique identifier, so you can use to log in the client applications. Okay, so hope you understand. So all right, so let me show you OpenID website itself. So this is the openid.net website. So it was used in past and it was very popular in past before the OAuth was discovered. So you can read more about it on their website. Okay, like what is OpenID, how it works, and OpenID foundations. So you can like read in brief how OpenID works. Like at the very important point, like they give you a unique identifier, so that you can use it to log into the client applications, as I've already mentioned in the slide point. Okay, so hope you understand. So let's move to another lecture. So now let's move to OAuth 2.0. So and nowadays OAuth 2.0 is used majorly in the applications. And what is OAuth 2.0 basically? It is basically an authorization framework. So that enable the user to grant a third-party application limited access to their resources without exposing their credentials. So it designed to be more streamlined and flexible version compared to its predecessor OAuth 1.0. So as I already told you, 2.0 is more advanced version than 1.0. And the key components of OAuth 2.0 are roles, tokens, authorization grant types, authorization process scope, and bearer tokens. Okay, so we will be focusing more on the grant types. Okay, the roles you will come to know, and the tokens, I think you already know the tokens and the scope and bearer tokens. So we will see the things in the upcoming lecture. Okay, so thank you. So now let's briefly understand the components. As the first component was roles, as you can see here, the roles. So let us see what role contains. So role itself means uh, like kind of identity management thing. If you are familiar with cloud, so you come to know that the different roles are assigned to different people or different privileges. Okay, like the people with different privileges like admin, developer, or analyst are assigned different roles. Okay, so here is also same, just the names are different. At the very first, here is resource owner. So we have already seen in the entities part, like resource owner. What is the resource owner? The user who owns the data and grants access to it. So if you are using Facebook or services in your application as a client, okay, so as a user I can see the Facebook is granting access to the client. So it means the resource owner will be Facebook itself. The client, the client will be simply the application using the OAuth service. Authorization server, so basically it will be the Facebook server which verifies the identity of the user and issues access token after authentication. Access token can be used by the client application to log into the application simply. The resource owner, again, the okay, resource owner and resource server. Okay, so both the things will be little bit same, but here is the difference comes in the hosting. Server will host the resources and respond to request for those resources. So I hope you understand the roles. Then here come the tokens. So tokens is basically a string which is using some kind of hash. Okay, so you can, if you have learned something in, or you have seen some cryptography, then you may have seen some hash strings. Okay, so token are the same kind of things. The first one is the access token, a short-lived token that the client uses to access protected resources on behalf of the user. So basically, it will be a kind of authorization string, okay, which is provided after the authorization is successful by the resource server. Then here come the refresh token. So this token is used to obtain a new token without requiring the user to re-authenticate. Okay, so after some intervals, a request is sent to the resource server to issue a new token after the access token is expired. Okay, so hope you understand the token as well. So authorization grant types. So now let's come to authorization grant types. Authorization code is the first authorization grant type. So which is basically used in web application. The client receives an authorization code that is exchanged for an access token. So don't worry, we will see this in proper flow how authorization code is granted. Then the second one is the implicit, designed for client-side application, example JavaScript in web browser. So the access token is returned immediately after the user grants authorization. So basically, authorization code will be like containing more steps. As you can see, firstly the code is received, then code is exchanged for an access token. But here in case of implicit, we are directly getting access token. So it will be a shorter and more fast than authorization code. Then here comes the resource owner, password credential, and client credentials. The client collects the user credentials and exchanges them for exchange token. So basically you are using simply username and password, like very similar to login page, then you are getting access token. And here is again same, you are using client credentials for getting a token. Now you have already seen the authorization grant types, but there are some authorization process as well. Okay, so these are the steps, like the clients initiates the authorization process by redirecting the user to authorization server. The user authenticates and grants permission to the client. The authorization server issues an authorization code. So the client uses the obtained token to access the user resources on the resource server. So don't worry, we will see this thing as well in the flow. So in steps they are like hard to understand, but in flow they are like easy to understand. Scope. The scope in bug bounty means the area which is specific. Okay, the specific area basically. So here the scope means the access, the level of access the client is requesting. Suppose I have used test.com as an example. So if you are using Facebook to log into test.com, so scope will define what test.com has access of your Facebook. Like the things test.com can access of your Facebook account. For example, read only access to a user profile or write access to social media post. Okay. Then here comes bearer tokens. So access tokens are often sent as bearer tokens in HTTP authorization headers, indicating the bearer client of the token. So it means the token are sent as a bearer token in the authorization header. So we will see this part using Bub Suite while testing application. So here are some applications of OAuth 2.0, like you can see it in social media authentication or API authorization, mobile app authorization, single sign-on, cloud services, enterprise authentication, IoT, Internet of Things, financial services, collaboration platforms, and gaming platform. So these are some like top important applications of OAuth 2.0. The basic use is very simple. The client is using OAuth providers to just log in or access the platform using the OAuth framework. Like if we like take example of Alexa, if Alexa is using OAuth services, like you can log into Alexa using Google as well. Okay, sometime uh, sometime not sometime very commonly in mobile application you can directly log into application using OAuth providers. So these are very popular application of OAuth framework. So let's finally move on to the attack part of OAuth 2.0, that is OAuth misconfigurations, or basically attacks on OAuth. Hello everyone. So let's get started with the attacks on OAuth part. So the very first is the authentication bypass via OAuth implicit flow. So basically I am using a portswigger lab for demonstrating this one. So this will is- this attack will basically demonstrate the float validation by the client application, makes it possible for an attacker to log into other user account without knowing their password. So basically, let me explain you the important scenarios. Basically, note this lab. So it will be a journal case. It will be a journal case. So suppose there is a target.com, which is basically a client. Okay, and other will be in case of Oauth only. Oauth provider, example, Google. Okay, so the point is the misconfiguration can be possible in both of application. Like Oauth provider is basically a framework. They are providing framework, and client application is you can say is integrated with this framework. Basically, they are integrating OAuth with their application. So there may be case where the application in target, or there may be a case where the misconfiguration is in OAuth. Okay, so in this lab, the application is in the target itself. Basically, this lab one, the misconfiguration is in target itself in the client. So even you can see here like the float validation by the client application. It means the client application is making a float validation. So while doing hunting or bug bounty, you should be you should have a better or good understanding of the host. So keep an eye on the host itself while sending requests in the proxy or while checking any overflow. So keep an eye on the host itself. So I will tell you how. So let's go to the book suite. Okay, so this is the lab. Authentication bypass via implicit flow. Let's access the lab. So let me clear it. Okay, so basically here is definitely target, and other side will be Oauth provider, or you can say Oauth service. So we will understand the lab using flow as well. So let me refresh the link. Yeah, so this is the lab basically. So here you can see here is the my account option. If you notice the URL, so let me go to the host first. So this is the target. Okay, so let me paste the target here. So you should keep an eye on the host. This is the target. Now let me go to the my account. Now here they are redirecting automatically to the Oauth server. As you if you notice in the URL, now they have redirected us on the Oauth server. So let me paste. So they both are different. So sometimes like people think they are same, but they are different. If you keep an eye on the host, if you look on the host or domain, simply domain, then they are different. Okay, so now they have provided the credentials, Wiener and Peter. So we will understand each request. Okay, so basically it's simply a login request. Okay, so this is not a auth flow request. If you understand, actually what they have done, let me explain you. Like in case of Sudan, previously I was already logged into my Google account. Now firstly what they have done, like firstly they made us to log into the service. Okay, so using Wiener and Peter, using Wiener and Peter, we are logged into this platform. Simply this auth service. Now, like we are it directly or simply means like we are already logged into our Google account. Okay, so now we will use this as like this in Oauth framework to log into this target. So we are logging to this Oauth service now. Now let's go to the target. Now if I press continue, what I am doing step one, like authorizing, sending authorizing request. Yeah, as you can see here. So now let's intercept the response. Now send it. Okay, again sending. Now check the response. So as you can see, we are getting access token here. Yeah, as you can see, we already got a token. Now this is a final request where the token is sent to this, basically our target. Our target is using this token to authenticate. Yeah. So now session is given to us, and using the O service we are logged into the account. So this is how this workflow works. Now there is a misconfiguration in the client itself, like we are able to go to other user account. It means the misconfiguration is in this target. So you have to focus on the request of this target. So now let's again log out. If one thing you observe, now it is not like, it is not asking us for the login. We are already login to this account, and behind the scenes in the background run we are already getting into this target. So what we have to do, log out, and when I'm pressing this my account button, you have to capture the request. As you can see here, it is sending the request. Yeah, this one is a request, and you can see it belongs to the target. So what is the misconfiguration basically, or what we have to do basically, what is our target? So we have to log into this account of this email address. So you can check in repeater as well, or you can change on go. Okay, so I have changed the email. Now let's capture the response. So we got a session. Let's see if it works. It means now we are logging to this account. Okay, so not every application works like similarly to this one. Different application have different frameworks. Like they have make their own set of requests and responses. So you have to analyze each request and response. So what is the learning from this lab? Like solving was easy, but you have to focus on the target request. Okay, so there is no any kind of talk or any kind of discussion about this. There is only discussion about the target. It means implicit flow means internal flow, the client flow. So they are having misconfiguration in the target or the client. Okay, hope you understand. So if I see the request in repeater, it belongs to the target, and it was sending three parameter values. Okay, the token, username, and email. So what was the misconfiguration basically? The token which was assigned for this email can be used for other email as well. It was like it can be used for Carlos email. Sometimes this misconfiguration may occur on the live application as well. The same token can be reused for the other account. So that's the misconfiguration basically. So hope you understand. So let's move to another misconfiguration. So now let's move to another lab, which is basically forced or profile linking. So due to insecure implementation of OAuth flow by the client application. Now, if you note the word here, misconfiguration is again in the client application. An attacker can manipulate the client application functionality to obtain access to user accounts. This case will change the misconfiguration with cross-site request forgery to attach our social media profile with other user or admin account. So this is the case where we will see the cross-site request forgery case. And if you uh, have seen the previous lecture, then I was talking about the state parameter. So I was discussing about the state parameter and the parameter which was responsible for the securing of cross-site request forgery. So definitely in this case, the lab is not using or the client is not using the state parameter. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to the case. So here is the lab. Okay, to understand the lab, you should understand the workflow properly. So let's make a basic structure of the target first. So here will be our target or client, and here will be our OAuth provider. Now they have provided some set of credentials. Social media profile is set of credential for OAuth provider. So definitely they are credential for this one, and this credential definitely belongs to the target. Yeah. So what we have to do, we have to attach the admin panel, we have to attach the profile of admin user, and we have to delete the Carlos user. Okay. Alright, so there are two options if you see here. First one is this winner. Let's log in via winner and Twitter. Like what should be the steps and what would be the like how to achieve this kind of thing. So we will see. Firstly, the target is this host. So let's log in. So it is a simple login. Okay, not a auth login. So you may or may not intercept this request. Important is to intercept the request related to this one because this is related to OAuth. So users may be confused with different login pages. So please don't confuse with different login pages. Only focus on the OAuth login flow because it will be related to OAuth workflow. Now when I go to attach a social media profile, it will redirect me to different URL as you can see in the bar. So it will be a OAuth provider URL definitely. Yeah. So now let's log in. Okay. Now again this is again a sign in third party. So you you should not intercept or you we are not interested in intercepting this request. Okay, yeah, but we will intercept this request. So now till now what we have done, we have completed this login task, we have completed this login task. Okay, so we are basically login to different platform now. What we are connecting now, if you see it now, there is one thing left, like attaching social media profile thing. Only this thing is left, and this thing definitely involve OAuth flow. Okay, so we are interested in this. So now you should capture this request. So when I press continue, there may be OAuth flow occurring now. So Now let me continue. The post request has been sent. The first step has been done. Okay, so keep an eye on the host itself. So you are getting like you will get an idea which server is sending request now. The target, like the client, or the auth provider. So if you like see clearly, we got a code from previous request. Now the client is using code request further to attach the profile. It means if I copy this URL, like before getting final attachment, the previous request was like this. If I paste this, then the previous request before getting or before attaching a profile will look like this. Before, after, if I send this request, let's see what we will get. Then our profile got attached. Yeah, it means after code request, if you see in the URL itself, our profile got attached to the client application. Like the social media profile is attached to the platform. Okay, let me refresh it. Yeah, you can see here as well. This is the username of social media profile. It means we have attached this. So it means there may be some means configuration is these in this workflow. So let us understand again. Yeah, now we are not getting authorized button because we are already logged into the social media platform. But yeah, there is one thing we can do. We can again check the workflow. We can capture everything. Yeah, the first request is this. So it is containing client ID. We know the client ID, the redirect URI, where the code is sent. And you know well, the code is sent to the target. Response type code. It means it is using authorization code grant. Scope, we will get the profile email. And one thing is missing here, that is state parameter. I think you got my point. They are not using state parameter. It means they are not protected from CSRF. Okay, so let me copy the URL. Let's stop here. And so this was the URL. If you observe properly, they are not using state parameter. If you see it, they are not using state parameter. It means it is vulnerable to CSRF. It is vulnerable to CSRF. Okay, so now how to identify which request should be used in CSRF. Okay, so if you analyze properly, then like we got a code. Now this code is not used yet. It means if we like drop this request or not use this request, then we can use this request to trigger by a admin. If you understand my point, then what we do, like to better understand, drop this request. Like you should know the code because it can be used only once. Okay, so I am getting back. Now if we see the solution, then you may have seen like we have to use this in iframe. Like how you exploit CSRF. We exploit CSRF using HTML. Okay, so the lab has provided the exploit server, then we are not using our server, so we are just using an iframe. Okay, so we will deliver this to admin using iframe. Okay, if you understand it, like we have we have stopped this we have stopped this step. Now this step should be done by admin now. Before we are doing the last step, like we are running the code request and our profile was getting attached to the target, but this time this request should be like done by admin itself. So how it can be done? We will like host this payload on the exploit server, and by default they ping back or pings through admin account. So even you can see here as well. Okay, so now you can directly deliver to victim. Okay, so let's deliver it to victim. Now let's go to access log. So here is the different IP. It means some other ping back has been done from some other side. Let's see if it works or not. Okay, so here is a little mistake. I haven't put equal here. So after source we have to put equal, then the payload. So let's again deliver exploit to the victim. Now check access logs. So let's refresh the account. Okay, so don't worry, we can again do this. Now again go to attach social media profile option. It is again authorization request. Now intercept it. We are getting code here. Okay, you can directly copy code in the response as well, or you can copy the code in the request. So it depends upon you. Okay, so we haven't used code yet. If you observe, we haven't used the code. So now I'm going to the exploit server. Now just replacing the code value. Okay, let's see if there is any mistake or not. Okay, so we have to just use iframe to host the payload. Okay, so you can do in other way as well, but why we are using iframe? There is a reason, because the URL run automatically in the iframe. Whenever iframe loads, the URL runs automatically. So that's the rocket science behind the payload. So now delivering the payload to the victim. Yeah, our payload got triggered, but I think the admin account is not attached. Mistake we were doing. So when the exploit is delivered to the admin, you should be log out from the application, because even the admin runs the payload and try to attach his profile, but it will not work because your profile is already attached. You are already logged in. So before sending the exploit or delivering the exploit to victim, you should log out from the website, so that behind the scenes and at the background, when admin attaches his profile, then after attaching, when the admin attachment is complete, then you can log into the account. So let's see. So firstly you have to log out. So we are log out now, as you can see. Now we will deliver the exploit to the victim, which is basically admin. If you check for access logs, then you can see the victim one is admin one. So now let's see if our payload works. So let's refresh it. Yeah, so it works. So now we are logged into the admin account. Okay, so let's continue, or you can go to the admin panel. So this was the tasks. Okay, so let me explain you what is happened here. So a little not difficult, but here it is little tricky to understand. So let me explain you. Oauth. Okay, so I have explained you the previous things. So let's understand the final thing. So here is the exploit server. Exploit server is different. Okay, the thing is, when you have attached your profile, okay, at the very end, so you are delivering exploit to the admin. So when admin tries to attach his profile, your profile was already linked. Okay, so your profile should not be linked, or you should log out first. Then it will work. Then this will work, and the admin profile got attached. So that was the thing we are doing wrong. Okay, so now I think you understand. Actually, after doing logout, your profile got dislink, or your profile like detached from this target. Then what happened? At your profile, the admin profile got attached. Now externally, when you log in using zero auth, login using auth, you go directly to admin profile. So that's the thing was happening. So now let's see the third type of attack, that is OAuth account hijacking via redirect URI. So basically it is a misconfiguration by OAuth provider. So it means now the misconfiguration is in the OAuth service provider itself, like Google, Facebook. It means this misconfiguration is in. So now let's get started with the lab. So let's go to my account. So here they are redirecting to the social media. So see, let me copy this target URL and let's make a target here. So from the lab name, the vulnerability exists in zero auth service itself. Okay, so target.com. So let me copy the URL. Let me paste it, and other will be auth service. So let's go to my account. Now here we are redirecting to the social media website. So here is the auth service URL. Yeah, and we all know this time, this in this lab, this is vulnerable. Like this time this is vulnerable. And how it is vulnerable? Due to redirect URI. So we will see it definitely. Yeah, winner and winner, I think. So now what we have done here, we have given credential winner and Peter, which are related to this auth service. I hope you understand. So these belong to this service. Let's see. Yeah. So now we have to authorize it. So during authorization, you need to capture the request and responses. As we all know, it will undergo auth flow. Yeah. So as we can see, we are getting code in response. So it means it's a kind of authorization grant. Okay. So as you can see, we are now logged into our account. Yeah, as you can see here. So our the area of interest will be the overflow. So now let's again log out, going to my account, and you can see we are redirecting to social media, and we are logged into account because we have already logged in using these credentials. Using this credential, we are already logged in. So that's why it is not asking now. Now what you need to do, you just go to my account, and you will see you are already logged in. So again log out. Now this time capture the request. Yeah, we are going to social login, and after this definitely a overflow will begin. Yeah, so here is the request. If you see here, So here is a redirect URI parameter. So let me send this request to repeater. Obviously, I have already told you like this redirect URI means the URL where code has to be sent. But what if attacker give its own URL? So to demonstrate this or to check this, you can use your collaborator. So let me copy the URL and pasting in the place of this URL. So let me remove the previous one, and now let's see if we are getting any callback or not. If you see here, we are getting callback for this URL. It means, and the code, and definitely the code will send to this one. It means we are getting the callback. So let's see if we get any callback here. Is there any issue? Okay, so we have to follow the redirection. Yeah, now it will work. Actually, it was showing 302 redirection, but I haven't followed the redirection. Now I think I will go the response. Yeah. So if you observe here, then we are getting the code. What if I forge the URL and send it to some other victim or admin in this case, and I got a admin code? So in this way, I can like take over the admin account. And one more thing, if you note here, in the previous request, there is no state parameter. So let me copy request, uh, copy URL. So let us observe some things in this. The first misconfiguration is the redirect URI. Redirect URI ping backs to random or any URL, so that we are getting the code. But there is one issue: how we can send this URL to some other? Is there any way? So yeah, if you observe clearly again, then there is no state parameter, no state parameter in the request. So if you see this request, there is also no state parameter. It means it is vulnerable to CSRF again. So we find a way to send this to any other person or victim or admin. So we will forge this URL in iframe and send into admin. So let's now forge the payload. So here we need to give the iframe. Source would be the URL itself. So what it will do, you know. So here I have given the redirect URI, which is our collaborator URL. So I hope you understood my point. So whenever admin open this iframe or open this exploit, it will automatically run this URL and send the admin code to me. Okay, and then I can use the code to log into admin's account. Okay, so let's deliver exploit to victim. So now the exploit is delivered. Now check for access logs. Here you can see the victim has or admin has accessed this URL. Now definitely in collaborator, I will get a response back, but I am not getting any HTTP response. So it was previous one. So let's again poll now. Let's wait. Back to exploit server. Let's see if there is any issue or any problem. I think all things are good to go. Now let's again deliver this to victim. Now let's check for access logs. So again you can see a different IP address. Exploit is delivered. Now let's again go to the collaborator. Yeah. So this time we got a code. So this code belongs to the victim or admin. So what we have to do now? Copy the code, and there is multiple ways. So you can directly use code here, Now let's see if it works or not. Okay, so we are already having a session, so we can not use that code again and again. So let me refresh this first. Actually, you have to replace the code during OAuth flow. So firstly, you have to log out. Now go to my account. So side by side, you have to proxify the request as well. Yeah. So capture the response, or don't worry, we will replace any request. So after redirection, we will replace this code to the victim code, because this belongs to the victim one. We got it from collaborator from here. Okay. So let's check for response. So we are getting some internal error. I think there is any issue. Okay, so what we can do, let us deliver exploit to victim again, so we get a fresh code. Let's check for yeah, so this time again victim has accessed the logs, so let us poll again. So here we are getting http as request again. Now copy the code, and now what we have to do, okay, so firstly log out. So let me log out first. So yeah, we have successfully log out. Now go to my account. Now overflow is starting here. Now we will get a code. Yeah, now replace this code with victim code. So let's see if it works or not. Yeah, so it works. So go to the admin panel and delete the, so we have solved the lab. Okay, so what happening here, so actually redirect URI was sending code to our collaborator. Suppose this is collaborator, or simply say attacker server. So we are getting code, and in overflow we need code to log into account. Simply code was giving session to us, so this time we are getting victim code and using that code to get a admin session. So this way we take over this account and completed our lab. So next lab will definitely most interesting case, which is one of my finding. So we will see how we can go through OAuth misconfiguration through reading documentation using Postman, and I will show you OAuth chaining with cross-site scripting or HTML injection. So let's bind the codes with some business logic misconfiguration. So here we will see some of the business logic misconfiguration which are easy to find and can be reported to bug bounty program. So let's see one of that. So I have opened a blog which is showing pre-account takeover using Oauth misconfiguration. So let's directly get to the point. So basically what he have done, so let's directly read the steps. So actually he created an account to some target using Oauth like google.com. And what he does, on going to the settings of the dashboard, he changed his email to some other mail. And uh, what was the business logic misconfiguration? They were not doing any authentication or authorization when he was changing the email. So now what will happen when victim try to change an account? Okay, sorry, no, not change, to create an account on target.com. It says the email already exists. It means when the victim tries to register, it will pop up an error like email already exists. Now, when victim reset his password and logged in using email password method, then attacker is also able to log in victim account using Oauth. It means both the people are able to log in. So it is one of the serious business logic misconfiguration, and he has been awarded some bounties as well. You can see. Yeah, personally, I have also find this kind of misconfiguration on some private targets. So yeah, it is valid. Yeah, in very rare cases, company doesn't accept it when the domain or the subdomain is out of scope. Yeah, but you can try to find this one as well. Okay, and let's go for some other business logic misconfiguration. Okay, so the state parameter or thing also comes in business logic sometimes. Yeah, but if you are able to perform full account takeover, then it comes in account takeover and it will be a P2 issue. So you can read the blog carefully from step by step, but let me explain you the point, the main point. Yeah, after analyzing the request, like here you can see the flow, and he find that the state parameter is not used. The summary of this blog is the state parameter is not used, and we have already seen two examples during the lectures. If the state parameter is not used, there may be a chance of CSRF, but still you may or may not be able to perform the CSRF attack because of CORS policy. But here you can see he was able to leverage the attack and perform a successful CORS and report it to the company. Okay, so you can read the blog. I will give this in resources section. So here again, this is one of the uh, payload of CSRF. It means again there will not be state parameter. So again in the request you can see no state parameter is used. So that's why again he was able to plant a CSRF payload. Okay, so main thing is the hosting of this payload. Okay, if there is a restricted CORS policy, this may not work. So firstly you need to know, or you should need to know the CORS policy. Okay, one one trick is, let me show you like a simple way to check that. Okay, so directly go to the application section, go to the cookies. Okay, if you see the domain, here you can see if you filter the domain and search the token. Okay, you can search for same site policy. Here you can see they are using strict legs non policy. Okay, non means the CSRF can be done, but non is on google.com. On app.clickup.com there is strict or legs. It means CSRF is not directly possible. You have to check for some origins, you have to check for some customer origins to check for that. Okay, so keep in mind this thing. So I will provide the some business logic misconfiguration on the blogs itself, on the resources section. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, one of the misconfiguration that I have found, like sometime what happens, uh, the OAuth provider directly provide you access token in the URL. Okay, so mind my words. Sometime what happens, the OAuth provider directly provide you the access token not in the response body but in URL, and token never expires sometimes. So you can use token again and again in different browsers as well. Then it will again be a P3 to P4 issue sometimes. And if you find that token in some other way, like way back URLs or some other resources, then it may be a account takeover issue. It may be a P2. So to keep in mind. Okay. So hope you like the course. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. So do review the course and do give me suggestions about upcoming course or anything. So you can ask doubts in comments or you can personally DM me. Okay. So thank you so much.